Title: If only he knew she would call him a thief. They dragged me from her house, half naked and confused. My feet stumbled over the dusty ground as rough hands pulled me forward. I tried to understand what was happening, but everything moved too fast. "Thief!" she screamed, her voice cutting through the morning air like a blade. "He broke into my house. He tried to steal from me." Then her husband appeared at the doorway. Her husband. I did not even know she had a husband. He was a large man with cold eyes, and he pointed at me as if pointing at a snake. Within moments, the entire village gathered. They came running from their houses, their faces filled with anger and judgment. I tried to speak, tried to explain, but my words were drowned by the crowd's fury. "She is my lover," I shouted desperately. "I came here because she invited me. Please, listen to me." But nobody listened. They began pushing me, striking me, their fists landing like stones. I fell to my knees, blood on my lips, confusion flooding my mind. As I collapsed into the dust, barely conscious, I thought about how it all began. If only I had seen the truth earlier. It started several weeks before that terrible morning when she first arrived in our village. I remember the day clearly. I was walking back from my farm when I saw her, a woman I had never seen before, walking with grace and dignity, carrying only a small bundle of belongings. She wore a simple dress, clean and modest, and her smile was warm like morning sunlight. Several neighbors had already gathered around her, curious about the stranger. "I am a widow," I heard her tell them. "My husband died last year, and I have come here to start fresh. I want to open a small provisions shop and live quietly." I felt pity for her immediately. A young widow, alone in the world, trying to survive with dignity. The other women offered her food and advice about where to find a good house to rent. She thanked them with tears in her eyes, touching her heart as if overwhelmed by their kindness. Within days, she opened her little shop. It was neat and well organized, with bags of rice, sugar, salt, and cooking oil displayed carefully. She sold her goods at fair prices and always had a kind word for everyone. I noticed her beauty, yes, but I kept my distance. I was shy, always had been. But I watched her sometimes, admiring her strength. As the days passed, she became beloved in our village. I watched her give small gifts to children, a piece of candy here, a biscuit there. She offered free sugar to elderly women who could not afford it, waving away their protests with a smile. "I have enough," she would say. "Let me share what I have been blessed with." Many men in the village began lingering near her shop longer than necessary. They would buy small things just to have a reason to talk to her. She was friendly to all of them but kept a respectful distance, or so it seemed. But I began to notice something strange. After her shop closed in the evening, she would sometimes receive visitors. These were men from the village, married and unmarried, who would knock quietly on her back door after darkness fell. I did not know what happened during those visits. I told myself it was not my business. Perhaps they were discussing village matters, or perhaps they were helping her with repairs. The women whispered among themselves, suspicious but uncertain. I heard my mother talking to her friends about it, but they had no proof of anything wrong. Still, I kept watching, curious but cautious, not knowing that soon I would be drawn into her web like a fly caught by a spider. Everything changed for me one afternoon when I went to buy cooking oil. I was nervous, as always around women. The other young men teased me gently, calling me too serious, too quiet. No woman had ever shown interest in me, and I had accepted that perhaps I would remain alone. But when I entered her shop that day, she looked directly into my eyes and smiled in a way that made my heart jump. "You are different from the others," she said warmly. "I can see that you are a good man." I could barely breathe. No woman had ever spoken to me that way. After that day, she would always greet me warmly when I passed her shop. She would ask about my mother, about my farm, about my dreams. She listened carefully to everything I said, as if my words truly mattered to her. I began finding excuses to visit her shop more often. I would buy small things I did not really need, just to hear her voice and see her smile. Then one evening, As I was leaving her shop, she touched my arm gently and whispered, "Stay a moment. I want to talk to you privately." My breath caught. She wanted to talk to me? Alone? I followed her inside, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure she could hear it. Inside her house, everything was clean and simple. A small lamp cast warm shadows on the walls. I stood awkwardly, not knowing what to do with my hands. She sat down and looked at me with eyes full of emotion. "Kofi," she said softly, using my name for the first time. "I feel I can trust you. You are not like other men." I could barely speak. "Thank you," I managed to say. She sighed deeply, and I saw tears forming in her eyes. "I must tell you the truth. I am not really a widow. I left my village because I was being forced to marry a man I did not love. I ran away to be free. My heart ached for her suffering. I wanted to protect her from whatever had hurt her. But I am afraid," she continued, her voice trembling. "If people here know I am single and alone, they will gossip. They will call me shameful names. So I pretend to be a widow to protect myself." "I understand," I said, feeling a fierce desire to defend her. "Your secret is safe with me." She reached out and took my hand. Her touch was warm, electric. "I knew I could trust you. You are special, Kofi. I feel something when I am with you." My entire body seemed to glow with happiness. She felt something for me? For me? "But you must promise me," she said urgently, gripping my hand tighter. "Never tell anyone about our meetings. Never speak of what we share. If the village finds out, they will destroy us both." "I promise," I said solemnly, looking into her eyes. "I will protect you. Always." The next few days felt like a dream. I would visit her after dark, entering through the back door, and we would talk for hours. She made me feel important, valued, loved. But then strange things began happening in the village. One morning, a man named Kwame discovered that his goat was missing. It was a valuable animal, healthy and strong, and Kwame was devastated by the loss. "Thieves!" he shouted through the village. "Someone has stolen my goat." We all searched everywhere but found nothing. People blamed wandering criminals from the next village. Then, 3 days later, a child playing near the forest discovered something horrifying. The goat had been slaughtered and left near the trees, its meat rotting in the sun. "Who would do such a thing?" everyone asked. "Why kill an animal and leave the meat to waste?" I had no answer. Seemed senseless, cruel. Looking back now, I realized that Kwame had been one of the men visiting her at night. But at the time, I did not make that connection. I was too lost in my happiness. One night, as I was leaving her house through the back door, something made me pause. A man stood at the edge of the village, half hidden in shadows, watching her shop. I could see his outline clearly against the moonlit sky. He was unfamiliar, not from our village. His clothes were dusty from travel, and his face was hard and expressionless. He stood perfectly still, just watching, like a hunter observing prey. A chill ran through me. Who was the stranger? And why was he watching her? The next day, I asked her about it carefully. I did not want to seem jealous or controlling. "I saw a man near your shop last night. Do you know him?" She laughed lightly, but I noticed something flicker in her eyes. Something I could not identify. "Oh, him? That is my distant cousin. He comes sometimes to check on me, to make sure I am safe." "Your cousin?" I repeated, feeling uneasy. "Yes," she said, touching my face gently. Her fingers were soft. "You worry too much, my love. He is harmless. He will leave soon." I wanted to believe her. I tried to push the uneasiness away. But that night, something else happened that shook our entire village and should have opened my eyes to the truth. Another man who had been visiting her, a farmer named Ya, was suddenly accused of trespassing near her house. I was there when it happened. People had gathered, saying they saw him lurking suspiciously, trying to break in. "I was invited," Ya shouted at the crowd. "She asked me to come. I was not trespassing." But when they brought her out to testify, she looked at Ya with cold, distant eyes. It was a look I had never seen on her face before. "I do not know what he is talking about," she said calmly. "I have never invited this man into my house. He must be confused or lying." "Liar!" Yo screamed, his face desperate. "You know me. Tell them the truth." But she simply shook her head sadly. "I am a respectable woman living alone. I would never invite strange men into my house. He must have evil intentions." The village elders were furious. To approach a woman's house at night without permission was a serious offense. They fined Yo heavily, 3 goats and a bag of rice. Yo paid, humiliated and broken, and left the village the next day. And the stranger, the cousin, disappeared that same morning, as if he had never existed. I felt deeply troubled. Something was wrong. But when I tried to talk to her about it, she kissed me gently and said, "Do not worry about village gossip. Focus on us." I could not stop thinking about what had happened to Yo. That night, unable to sleep, I walked quietly behind her shop. In the moonlight, I noticed something I had never seen before. Strange markings carved into the wooden wall. They were symbols, deliberate and careful. They looked old but purposeful, as if they meant something important. The next morning, I went to see Nana Kwabena, our village elder. He was a wise old man who had lived through many seasons and knew many things. "Nana," I said, showing him a drawing of the symbols I had seen. "What do these mean?" His face became very serious. He stared at the markings for a long time, then looked up at me with worried eyes. "Where did you see these?" he asked quietly. "Behind the new woman's shop," I answered. Nana Kwabena closed his eyes and sighed deeply. "My son, these are the markings of traveling swindlers. I have seen them before, many years ago in another village." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" "There are couples," he explained slowly, "who travel from village to village. They trap men through scandal and shame, then collect fines and money before disappearing. These symbols are their signature, their warning to others like them." I felt like the ground was disappearing beneath my feet. "Are you saying—" I began, but could not finish the words. "I am saying," Nana Kwabena continued gently, "that this woman may not be who she claims to be, and if there is a man working with her, perhaps the cousin you mentioned, then you and this entire village may be in danger." I wanted to deny it. I wanted to defend her. Every fiber of my being screamed that he was wrong, that the woman I loved could not be part of such evil. But too many pieces were fitting together now. The stranger, the accusations against Yaw, the fines, the disappearances. What should I do? I asked desperately. "Be very careful," the elder warned, placing his hand on my shoulder. "If what I suspect is true, confronting her directly could put you in terrible danger. These swindlers are clever and ruthless. They will destroy anyone who threatens to expose them." But I was in love. Despite the warning, despite the evidence mounting before my eyes, I could not believe that the woman who held me, who whispered sweet words to me, could be part of such a scheme. That evening, I went to her house, determined to give her a chance to explain everything. She was waiting for me, as always, with a gentle smile that made my heart ache. "I need to ask you something," I began, trying to keep my voice steady. Her reaction shocked me completely. Instead of getting angry or defensive, she began to cry, deep, heartbroken sobs that shook her entire body. "Oh, Kofi," she wept. "I knew this day would come. I knew people would start turning against me." She fell to her knees right in front of me, holding onto my legs. "That man you saw, he is not my cousin. He is my brother, but he is a terrible man. He beats me, he extorts money from me, he threatens to destroy my reputation if I do not give him what he wants." My heart was breaking watching her cry. "Why did you not tell me this before?" "Because I was ashamed," she cried, looking up at me with tears streaming down her face. "Because I thought you would think less of me. Because I thought I could handle it alone." She clutched at my hands desperately. "Those men who were accused, my brother set them up. He watches my shop, finds men who visit me innocently, then creates scandals to collect money. I have been his victim too, Kofi. I have been trapped by him. I pulled her close, feeling protective rage building inside me. I will not let him hurt you anymore, I said firmly. I will protect you. I promise. She clung to me like I was her only hope in the world. You are the only good thing in my life, she whispered against my chest. That night, I left her house feeling like a hero, ready to defend the woman I loved against her evil brother. But the next night, something made me cautious. Perhaps it was Nana Quabina's warning echoing in my mind. Perhaps it was some instinct I should have listened to much earlier. Instead of going directly to her house, I decided to watch from a distance. I hid behind a large tree near the edge of the village and waited. My heart was pounding, and I felt guilty for spying on her. But I had to know the truth. As darkness fell completely, I saw the stranger appear again, the man she called her abusive brother. He walked quietly to her back door and knocked 3 times. A signal. She opened the door immediately, and he slipped inside. I crept closer, my whole body tense. I found a crack in the wooden wall where I could see inside without being seen. What I saw destroyed me. The stranger and the woman were sitting together at her table, counting money. They were laughing, talking casually, like old partners discussing business. The next one should be easy, the man said. He is already completely blind with love. Yes, she agreed, smiling. He will do whatever I ask. When the time comes, he will walk right into the trap. They were talking about me. About me. I backed away slowly, carefully, barely able to breathe. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them laughing together, counting their money, planning my destruction. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I could not let them hurt anyone else. I went to my 2 closest friends, Kwasi and Ebo, and told them everything. I showed them where the symbols were carved, explained the pattern of accusations and fines, described what I had seen through the wall. We must expose them, I said firmly. We must tell the entire village before they can hurt anyone else. Kwasi nodded immediately. I believe you, brother. This must be stopped. But Ebo looked uncertain. If we accuse her publicly and we are wrong, the scandal will destroy us. The village will think we are jealous or cruel, attacking a helpless woman. I saw them with my own eyes. I insisted. But you have been meeting her secretly, Ebo pointed out quietly. If this becomes public, your reputation will be destroyed too. Everyone will know you were visiting her at night. His words hit me hard. I had not thought about that. My face burned with shame. I do not care about my reputation, I said finally. I care about stopping them before they hurt someone else. Kwasi stood with me. I am with you, Kofi. We will tell the truth together. But Ebo shook his head sadly. I am sorry, my friend. I cannot risk my family's honor on this. Before Kwasi and I could organize a public confrontation, something unexpected happened. That afternoon, I received an urgent message. Someone told me that the woman was in great distress, that something terrible had happened at her house. I know how foolish this sounds now. I know I should have stayed away. But despite everything I knew, despite the betrayal I had witnessed, some part of me still felt compelled to check on her. Perhaps it was one last thread of hope, one last desperate desire to believe she might have some goodness in her after all. When I arrived, I found her alone, sitting on the floor, her face buried in her hands. She was crying, or pretending to cry. Kofi, she said when she saw me, her voice breaking. Thank God you came. She crawled to me and grabbed my feet, the traditional gesture of absolute submission and pleading. I am so sorry, she sobbed. Everything you suspected was true. My brother forced me into this scheme. He threatened to kill me if I did not cooperate. I have been his prisoner, Kofi. I have been his slave. I stood frozen, wanting to believe her but remembering what I had seen just last night. I heard you laughing together, I said coldly. I heard you planning how to trap me. He made me say those things, she cried desperately. He was testing me, making sure I would not betray him. Her performance was perfect. The tears, the trembling, the the desperate sincerity in her voice. "I am leaving tomorrow," she said, still on her knees before me. "I am running away from him, from this life. I will go far away where he can never find me." "Where will you go?" I asked, my voice still hard, trying to resist her manipulation. "I do not know," she said. "Somewhere far. Somewhere I can be free." She looked up at me with those eyes that had once made me feel like the most important person in the world. "But I wanted to see you one last time, to tell you the truth, to ask for your forgiveness." I felt my resolve weakening. What if she was telling the truth? What if her brother really had been forcing her? "Please, Kofi," she whispered. "I love you. That was never a lie. Everything else was forced upon me, but my feelings for you were real." I wanted so badly to believe her. Despite everything, my heart was still hoping for a reason to trust her again. "If you leave tomorrow, you will be safe?" I asked. "Yes," she said. "He does not know I am planning to run. By the time he realizes, I will be far away." I helped her stand up, and she collapsed against my chest. "Thank you for believing in me," she whispered. "Thank you for being the one good man in this world." I left her house that evening feeling confused but cautiously hopeful. That night, I went to see Nana Kwabena again and told him what had happened. He listened carefully, his old eyes studying my face. When I finished, he was silent for a long time. "Kofi," he finally said, "if she leaves too easily, the trap is not finished." "What do you mean?" I asked. "Think carefully," he said. "If they leave tomorrow with just the money they have collected from Yaw and perhaps a few others, it is a small profit for all their planning. These swindlers are clever. They do not leave until they have caught their biggest fish." My stomach turned. "You think I am the biggest fish?" "I think," Nana Kwabena said gently, "that everything has been building toward you. You are young, unmarried, known to be honest and hardworking. If they can trap you in a major scandal, the village will force you to pay heavily to restore honor. Your mother might have to sell her land to pay the fine." "But she said she is leaving," I protested weakly. "Did she?" he asked. "Or did she say she plans to leave, knowing you would hear exactly what she wanted you to hear?" His words planted a seed of doubt in my mind. But before I could think it through fully, I received another message. It was from her. "Come see me one last time, please. I leave at dawn." I hesitated at the entrance to her house. Every instinct was screaming at me to turn around and walk away. But I thought about her tears, about her story of being trapped by her brother. What if it was true? What if she really did love me and I abandoned her in her moment of greatest need? I knocked on her door. She opened it immediately, as if she had been waiting right there. She was wearing a simple white dress, her hair loose around her shoulders. "Thank you for coming," she said softly. "I was afraid you would not." Inside, the house was neat and organized. I noticed that nothing was packed. No bags, no bundles, nothing suggesting she was leaving at dawn. "Where are your things?" I asked. "I am leaving everything behind," she said quickly. "I want to start completely fresh. All of this is tainted by what I have been forced to do." She came close to me, looking up into my eyes. "I know you doubt me, Kofi. I do not blame you. But I swear on everything sacred that I am telling you the truth." She took my hands in hers. "Stay with me tonight. Just talk with me. Let me have one night of peace before I go into the unknown alone." "I should not stay," I said, even as I felt my resolve crumbling. "Please," she whispered, "just until morning. Then I will be gone forever, and you will never have to worry about me again." Against all wisdom, I stayed. We sat together and talked through the night. She told me stories about her childhood, about her dreams for the future. She seemed vulnerable, real, human. Several times I thought about leaving, but each time she would say something that pulled me back in. "You are the only person who ever made me feel worthy of love," she said at one point. "Whatever happens to me after I leave here, I will carry that gift with you forever." As the night wore on, I grew tired. She offered me water, which I drank gratefully. "Rest for just a moment," she said gently. Dawn is still hours away. I closed my eyes, just for a moment, just to rest. When I opened them again, the room was lighter. Dawn was approaching. I had fallen asleep. I started to stand, feeling groggy and confused. Something was wrong. My head felt heavy, my thoughts slow. I should go, I mumbled, trying to clear my mind. Yes, she said. But her voice sounded different now, colder. You should. Then I heard them, heavy footsteps approaching the house. Multiple footsteps. My blood turned to ice. What is happening? I asked, suddenly fully awake. Before she could answer, the door burst open. The stranger, her brother or husband, I no longer knew which, stood in the doorway. But he was not alone. Several village men were behind him, their faces shocked and angry. What is this? The man shouted, pointing at me. What are you doing in my wife's house? I tried to speak, but no words came out. My mind was racing, trying to understand. Wife, I finally managed. You said you were not married. You said. Thief! She screamed, cutting me off. Her face was transformed, all warmth gone, replaced by cold fury. He broke into my house. He tried to steal from me. No, I shouted. I was invited. Tell them the truth. But she was already pointing at an open box in the corner. He was trying to steal my money. I woke up and found him going through my belongings. That is a lie, I screamed. She asked me to come here. We have been meeting for weeks. The men grabbed me roughly, pulling me toward the door. I fought against them, desperate to make them understand. Listen to me, I begged. She has been deceiving all of us. She and that man are traveling swindlers. They mark houses and trap men to collect fines. But the stranger, the husband, was shouting louder. He is making excuses. I caught him stealing. I have witnesses. More villagers were gathering outside now. I saw my mother in the crowd, her face filled with horror and confusion. She is my lover. I screamed desperately, knowing it would destroy my reputation but hoping the truth would save me. We have been meeting secretly. She invited me here, but she shook her head slowly, her face a perfect mask of shock and disgust. I do not know this man, she said clearly, her voice carrying to the entire crowd. I have never invited him into my house. He is lying to save himself. No. I thrashed against the men holding me. She knows me. She told me she loved me. She asked me to protect her. Why would a respectable married woman invite a stranger into her house? Her husband demanded. Why would she risk her honor for someone like you? The crowd began murmuring. I could see doubt in their eyes, doubt in me, not in her. He must have been watching her, someone said, planning this theft. I heard he has been going to her shop often, another voice added. Perhaps he became obsessed with her. This is insane, I shouted. Nana Kwabena knows the truth. There are symbols carved behind her shop. She is a swindler. But my words sounded desperate, crazy. I could see it in their faces. They thought I was making up wild stories to avoid punishment. The husband stepped forward, his face hard. I caught him stealing money from my wife. That is the truth. Everything else is the lies of a desperate thief. The crowd began pushing me, striking me. Their fists landed like stones. I tried to protect my face, but there were too many of them. As I fell to my knees, blood in my mouth, I looked up at her one last time, and I saw it. She and her husband exchanged a glance. Just a brief moment, but I saw it clearly. He gave her a tiny nod, and she smiled. Just the smallest curve of her lips, there and gone in an instant. It was a practiced gesture, a signal between partners who had done this many times before. They had trapped me perfectly. Every word she had said, every tear she had cried, every moment of seeming vulnerability. All of it had been calculated to bring me to this exact moment. I had walked into their trap with my eyes wide open, blinded by love and hope. Please, I gasped, tasting blood. Someone listen to me. But the crowd was beyond listening. They were angry, righteous, convinced of my guilt. They had become a mob, and mobs do not think. I saw Kwasi trying to push through the crowd, shouting something, but he was too far away. I saw my mother weeping, held back by other women. And I saw Nana Kwabena arriving at the edge of the crowd, his old face filled with horror and grief. "Stop!" he shouted. "Listen, this is not what it seems." But his voice was lost in the chaos. Nobody was listening anymore. They had already decided the truth. The blows kept coming. I curled into a ball, trying to protect myself, and wondered if I would survive to see another dawn. Finally, the beating stopped. I lay in the dust, barely conscious, every part of my body screaming with pain. Through my swollen eyes, I saw Nana Kwabena pushing through the crowd. He was shouting, but I could not hear the words anymore. Everything sounded distant, muffled. "They are swindlers," he was saying. "I have seen this before. The woman and the man are traveling con artists who create scandal to extort fines." Some people began to listen. The elder's voice carried authority that even mob rage could not completely ignore. "Search their house," Nana Kwabena demanded. "You will find evidence. These symbols." He was leading people behind the shop, showing them the markings I had discovered. Others began remembering the pattern. Kwame's goat, Ya's accusation and fine, the mysterious visitor who appeared and disappeared. "This is a practiced scheme," the elder shouted. "They have done this in other villages. They trap men through scandal, collect fines to restore honor, and disappear before anyone realizes the truth." I heard confusion in the crowd now. Doubt. People beginning to question what they had just done. But when they turned back to the house, the woman and her husband were gone. They had vanished in the chaos, slipping away while everyone was focused on me. Like smoke in the wind, they had disappeared. Someone helped me sit up. The world spun around me. I tasted blood and defeat. Several men ran to search the house before the couple could escape completely. What they found shocked everyone. Hidden under a floorboard, they discovered a leather ledger. Inside were names, dates, and amounts. A careful record of every village they had visited, every man they had trapped, every fine they had collected. For villages before ours. 12 men total. Amounts ranging from 3 goats to entire harvests of crops. My name was there at the bottom, with a note beside it, "Final target worth at least 5 goats and land title." Young, foolish, completely blind. The crowd fell silent as someone read the entries aloud. The horror of what they had almost done settled over everyone like a dark cloud. "They planned to claim he had stolen enough to demand your mother's land as payment," Nana Kwabena said quietly, looking at me with deep sadness. "They would have ruined your entire family." I sat in the dust, bleeding and broken, listening to the truth being revealed too late. Too late to save me from the beating. Too late to catch the swindlers before they escaped. "They disappeared into the forest," someone reported. "They had horses hidden there. By now, they are already far away." My mother pushed through the crowd and collapsed beside me, sobbing. My son, what have we done to you?" But I could barely respond. Everything hurt. My body, yes, but my heart even more. They carried me to my mother's house and tried to care for my wounds. People apologized, their faces filled with shame. "We should have listened," Kwasi said, standing beside my bed. I tried to speak, but the mob. "It is not your fault," I whispered through split lips. I did not listen either. I was warned, and I did not listen. For days I lay there, recovering slowly from the physical wounds. But the wounds inside ran much deeper. I had been betrayed by the woman I loved. I had been beaten by my own village. I had been made a fool in front of everyone. But worse than all of that, I had ignored every warning sign. I had chosen love over wisdom, hope over evidence, desire over truth. Nana Kwabena visited me often. He would sit beside my bed and talk quietly. "Do not blame yourself too harshly," he said one day. "They are professionals at deception. They have destroyed many men better and wiser than you." "But you warned me," I said. "You told me exactly what they were. and I did not believe you. You are young, he said gently. Young hearts want to believe in love. That is not a weakness, it is what makes us human. These swindlers exploit the best parts of us. Outside my window, I could hear the village slowly returning to normal. But nothing would ever be normal for me again. Weeks passed before I could walk properly again. Months before the bruises faded completely. But some wounds never heal. Sometimes I wonder what happened to them, the woman and her husband. Did they move to another village? Did they trap more men with the same lies? Or perhaps one day they will meet someone who sees through them faster than I did. Perhaps their luck will run out. I stayed in the village, though every day was difficult. People looked at me with pity, which was somehow worse than anger. My mother never spoke about what happened, but I saw the pain in her eyes. Kwasi remained my friend, loyal as always. You were not the first to be fooled, he reminded me often, and you will not be the last. But I was changed. I no longer trust easily. I no longer believe that beauty and kindness must be genuine. I tell my story now as a warning to others, to young men who might meet a woman too perfect, too interested, too eager to share secrets. Question what arrives too perfect. Do not let your heart blind your eyes. Listen to those who try to warn you. And most importantly, do not let the crowd think for you. If only I had known she would call me a thief. If only the village had listened when doubt first knocked. But perhaps this is why I am telling you this now. So that when you face your own perfect stranger, you will remember my story. And maybe, just maybe, you will see the trap before you walk into it. Because once you are caught, escape is almost impossible.